On a dying world where the last of her kind hid in shadows, the alien girl locked eyes with the terrifying creature her people feared most, only to find him wounded, not hunting. The twin suns of Velthra scorched the red horizon, casting jagged shadows through the ruined crystal spires of the old city. Deep beneath the collapsed towers, where broken bioluminescent roots still flickered with life, a lone figure crept along the tunnels, silent as a breath, careful as prey. Her name was Giara Nethve, last of the Sereni, a bioluminescent alien race with skin like woven glass and eyes that shimmered with constellations. Once proud architects of peace and beauty, they were now hunted, feared, nearly extinct, because the humans had come, or so the elders told her before they were all gone. They said humans consumed flesh, desecrated planets, and burned knowledge. They called them carnivores, monsters, predators from the void. That was why, when Giara saw the tall figure fall from the sky, crashing through the abandoned dome into the old temple ruins, her heart froze. A human. Alive. On Velthra. And he was bleeding. She should have run. She almost did. But his cry echoed, not like the snarl of a predator, but the groan of something broken. Curiosity fought terror. For once, curiosity won. Giara crept forward, cloaking herself in her skin's natural camouflage, shifting from pale lavender to the mossy greens and reds of the crumbling ruins. Her fingers, tipped with feather-light sensors, reached out to scan the strange being's frame. He was tall, easily 2 heads above her. His skin was rough and sun-worn, his hair a tangled mess of dark fibers matted with blood. He wore no armor, only a torn gray survival suit clinging to his frame. And yet, no weapons. One of his legs was bent the wrong way. The other was pinned under a massive shard of crystal. He wasn't hunting, he was dying, and something inside Giara twitched. A voice, maybe her own or maybe memory, whispered, "They are monsters. They devour worlds. They will devour you." But another voice, calmer, warmer, spoke from the silence of the man's eyes. They were open now, watching her. He didn't scream. He didn't grab her. He didn't bite. He just whispered, "Water, please." Giara had never heard a human voice before. It wasn't terrifying. It was broken. A human named Kale. His name was Kale Draven, a scout from the Outer Helix Exploration Corps. He'd been mapping dead stars when a wormhole ripped his ship out of slipspace and tossed him onto Velthra like a toy. "Didn't mean to crash your garden party," he groaned hours later as Giara tried, awkwardly and clumsily, to apply one of her healing saps to his mangled leg. "I think the planet has a grudge." Giara didn't understand most of his words, but the tone, the playful sarcasm masking pain, translated perfectly. Her people had communicated emotions through light and color, not sound. But Kale's voice, despite its alien sharpness, somehow resonated. She chirped softly in return, flickering her biolights in uncertain hues. "Safe. Help. Stay." Kyle blinked, a crooked smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "I don't know what you're saying, Glowbug. But thanks. The warning. They stayed hidden for days." Kyle, slowly, recovering, began learning Giara's signals while she tried mimicking his words. She showed him the ruins, the crystal gardens, the long-dead libraries encoded in light. He listened. He respected. He wasn't a monster, but others were coming. Kale's old ship had sent a distress beacon before the crash, which meant it was only a matter of time before the other humans came looking. And they wouldn't all be explorers. Some would be claimers, harvesters, hunters. And they'd see Velthra and Giara as property. Or worse. Kyle, already walking with a makeshift crutch, looked up at the fading sky. "We've got maybe 3 days before someone follows the signal. You need to get out of here." Giara blinked rapidly. Her skin flared with yellow panic and violet defiance. Not without you. Kale exhaled, stunned. I didn't crash this hard just to get rescued by the alien I was told might eat me. Jayara hissed, laughing in her native chirrup. And I didn't save a carnivore just to watch him die, she replied, her words stilted but defiant. In that moment, a silent understanding passed between them. Fear had given way to something else. Something dangerously close to hope. Giara, the last Sireni, finds a wounded human named Kael, crash-landed on her dying world. Though raised to fear his kind, she chooses to save him. Now, with a rescue signal sent, danger approaches. Not all humans are as kind as Kael. The storm came without warning, a low-frequency hum, barely audible to Kael's ears, but thunder to Giara's sensitive hearing, vibrated the old crystal ruins. Her skin flared a pale blue of dread. Something unnatural moved through the canyon. Metal, fast, scanning. Recon drones, Kyle muttered, leaning against a shattered column for balance. They're here. Giara tilted her head. Your friends? Kyle didn't answer immediately. His eyes locked with hers, and for the first time, she saw not the explorer's curiosity, but a soldier's regret. No, he said. These aren't the ones you want landing on your planet. The drones broke over the cliff like a metallic swarm, 6 of them, sleek and buzzing, built for scouting but armed with short-range plasma bursts. They hovered, scanning the ruins, eyes glowing orange. One paused mid-air. It turned. Giara's light dimmed instinctively, blending her into the stone. Kyle, with no such camouflage, ducked behind a fractured wall. Damn it, they're scanning for life signs, he whispered. They'll detect us any second. Giara flickered a quick warning. Run? Kyle looked at his crutch, then back at her. That's not an option. Instead, he pulled a jagged shard of crystal from the ground. It was barely the size of a dagger, but it would have to do. Giara hissed in protest, her glow flashing yellow. Kale smirked. I told you. Carnivore. Battle in the ruins. The first drone whirled toward them and fired. A burst of plasma slammed into the column above Kyle's head, showering him in debris. He rolled out, crystal shard in hand, and hurled it at the drone. It shattered on contact, but the impact threw off its aim. Giara leapt from cover with an almost liquid grace. In one fluid motion, she launched a bioluminescent flare from her chest, a concentrated burst of energy her people once used for mining. It wasn't made for war, but today it became a weapon. The drone screamed, its sensors fried by the blast of pure light. It spiraled down and exploded. Kale looked up, stunned. Holy hell, remind me never to piss you off. Giara clicked smugly. But the others were closing in. The remaining drones surrounded them. Plasma bolts scorched the stone. Giara's skin shifted in a kaleidoscope of warning colors, trying to distract, confuse, misdirect. Kyle, using fallen rubble as cover, grabbed a half-buried fusion pack from the old Sireni tech heap. He yanked the wires with a grunt. You have 10 seconds to run. Giara didn't move. I said. She grabbed his shoulder, her voice soft but fierce. We fight together. Kyle stared, then nodded, and threw the pack. The explosion was brilliant. The blast took out 2 more drones and left the others reeling. Shards of red crystal rained like glass snow as the 2 ducked behind a crumbled archway. Kale panted. 3 down, 3 to go. Giara reached into a panel on the wall and twisted. A crystalline key. Long dormant machinery whirred to life, a Sireni defense node, damaged but functional. From the wall, a small turret unfolded. Ancient and sputtering, but it fired. The 4th drone exploded mid-air. The 5th went evasive, too fast. The 6th zipped behind Kyle, preparing to fire. Giara screamed, a piercing, high-frequency wail that echoed through the ruins. The drone hesitated. Kyle turned and tackled it, plunging his makeshift crutch like a spear into its rotor. It crashed, tail spinning, and detonated behind them. aftermath and closeness. Silence returned. Smoke drifted through the shattered temple. The red sunlight glinted off broken drone pieces. Jayara stood panting, her skin flickering with exhausted pulses. Kyle collapsed beside her, laughing. "Remind me again who's supposed to be the monster?" he said between gasps. Jayara sat beside him, cautiously touching the burn on his arm with gentle fingers. Her bioluminescent light soothed the scorched skin. He winced, then relaxed. "You saved me," she whispered in broken English. Kyle looked at her, eyes softening. "You saved me first." Their eyes locked, his dark and wounded, hers shimmering, with a star field of emotion. There, in the heart of a forgotten ruin, surrounded by the wreckage of war machines and ancient sorrow, two souls from different galaxies sat shoulder to shoulder. "Why? Why help?" Jayara asked finally. Kale's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because I've seen what my kind does. Colonies, war, extraction. I thought I could explore, make it different, but I was just part of the machine." He looked down. "You reminded me I'm still human." Jayara touched his hand. "You reminded me. Not all humans hunt." For a long moment, nothing moved. Then slowly, she leaned in, forehead to forehead, sharing warmth, light, and breath. A serene sign of deepest trust. "What comes next?" "I've got to get back to my escape pod," Kale said after a while. "It, has comms. If I can redirect the signal, maybe I can warn the others off. Tell them the planet's dead." "Nothing here." Jayara blinked. "But, not dead. I am here." Kyle hesitated, then smiled. "Exactly why I don't want them to come." He stood, shaky but determined. "You coming with me, Glowbug?" Jayara's skin flashed purple-pink. "Go. Always." Hand in hand, they turned toward the eastern passage where Kale's pod had landed miles away, and the rising moon bathed the ruins in silver. They had survived the first battle, but the war hadn't even begun. After defeating a wave of hostile drones, Kyle and Jayara survived their first battle together. With the human fleet drawing near, they set out to reach Kyle's escape pod to send a false signal, hoping to protect Jayara's world from destruction. The far journey begins. The ancient pathways beneath the crimson dunes stretched like the ribs of a dying god. These were the old Serene tunnels, miles of forgotten corridors winding beneath the surface of the planet. They glowed faintly with residual energy, just enough to light the way. Kyle limped beside Jayara, relying less and less on his makeshift crutch. Her healing light had done more than soothe his wounds. It had strengthened him. Each touch from her gave him new purpose, a connection he couldn't explain. Still, the silence between them now was heavy. Jayara finally broke it. "You lie to your people?" Kale exhaled. "Not all of them. Just the ones who think a living world is just another pit stop for fuel and minerals." She tilted her head. "Would they believe you?" "Probably not. Then why try?" Kyle glanced at her, then at the narrow tunnel ahead. "Because you're worth it." Jayara stopped walking. He turned, confused, until she stepped closer. "You do not lie to me." It wasn't a question. "No," he replied softly. "Never to you." She nodded once, then turned back toward the path. The faint glow of her skin illuminated the way. The Hall of Echoes hours later, the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. Jayara paused, stunned. I did not know this place still existed. Pillars of glowing violet stone rose like trees in a sacred forest. In the center, half buried beneath sand and time, was something breathtaking. A Serene core nexus, a spire-shaped device of living crystal and biocircuitry. Giara's eyes shimmered with tears. It is a heart of our world. Kale stepped forward carefully. A data core. More than that, she whispered. It remembers everything. Every Sereni voice, every dream, every plan, even the designs for our weapons or our peace. Kyle looked at her sharply. Weapons? Giara stepped up to the crystal and laid her palm against it. Light pulsed. Outward, responding to her. The entire chamber lit up with spectral projections, images of the Sereni as they once were, towering, proud, luminous beings, building cities in the stars. But the projections twisted. Flames, war, explosions. The humans had come. Giara's voice cracked. My mother died here. She tried to warn them, tried to stop the others from fighting back. But in the end, everything burned. Kale clenched his fists. We did this. No, the Empire did, she corrected. You are not them. She gestured at the core. This remembers pain, but it also remembers how to stop pain. Kale's eyes narrowed. Can we use it? Giara hesitated. It will require a bond. One Sereni, one outsider. Neural connection. It was meant to build peace between species, not weapons. He stepped forward. Then let's use it for exactly that. The connection. Giara blinked in surprise. You would share your mind? Kyle shrugged. You've already seen most of it, probably. You know I'm not much good at hiding. It is not easy, she warned. It is vulnerable. He took her hand. I trust you. They stood before the core. Tendrils of living light extended like vines. One wrapped around Giara's forearm, another curled around Kale's wrist. Pain flared first, then stillness, then unity. A wave of color washed over them both. Giara saw his memories, battles on far-off moons, the guilt of following orders he didn't believe in, the terror of crashing alone. And Kale saw her, as a child watching the stars, being taught to glow in certain patterns to communicate. The pride of her people, their fall, her loneliness. Tears streamed down both faces. I see you, Kale whispered aloud. Giara shivered. I see you too. And, the core responded. It pulsed alive again, as if awakened from deep slumber. Holograms of star systems filled the chamber. Roots of old Sereni spaceways, hidden signal relays, and a dormant fleet, mothballed in orbit around the dead moon of Ithra. Kale staggered. This is enough to resist the Empire. A whole armada. Giara's voice trembled. If we activate it, they will know. They will come. I know, he said, with fire in his eyes. Let them. The betrayal as. The chamber calmed. Kyle heard something strange. Static. His communicator buzzed. Somehow, the signal had reached through the core, and a voice crackled in his ear. Commander Kyle, this is Fleet Command. We've received your emergency ping. Stand by for evac. Is the target planet hostile? Kyle's blood ran cold. The comms were open. Everything had been transmitted. Giara's eyes widened. They heard? He nodded slowly. Then, they will come to destroy me. No, he said, reaching for the comm. I can fix this. But a voice cut through. Not from the comm, from behind them. Well, Kyle, I should have known you'd go native. A tall figure stepped from the shadows. Captain Lyric, Kale's old superior, clad in black recon armor, rifle slung low, 2 soldiers behind him. Kale froze. Lyric? You always had a soft spot for strays, Lyric sneered. But this. One? Really? A Sereni? Giara moved closer to Kyle, defensive. Lyric raised his weapon lazily. Step aside. Orders are to neutralize remaining biothreats and extract data. Kyle stepped between them. Over my dead body. Lyric sighed. That can be arranged. In the heart of an ancient Sereni core nexus, Kale and Jayara formed a powerful neural bond, awakening a long-dormant memory and weapon system that could challenge the Empire. But just as hope rose, Kale's old superior, Captain Lyric, arrived, intent on executing orders to eliminate the bio-threat that is Jayara. Kale now stands between them. Stand or fall. Lyric raised his pulse rifle, aiming it squarely at Jayara's chest. Step aside, Kale. This isn't personal. It's protocol. Kale didn't budge. Protocol doesn't justify genocide. Lyric's smirk faded. You always did question orders. That's why you were demoted. And you've always obeyed them like a machine. The two soldiers flanking Lyric raised their weapons, fingers twitching. Jayara's skin shimmered with defensive light as her voice hummed through Kale's mind. I can blind them for a moment. It may give us an opening. Kale nodded, slowly. Lyric's eyes narrowed. You're communicating with it now? Kale smiled grimly. No, I'm fighting with her. Jayara's glow exploded, like a detonation of silver fire. The chamber lit up like a starburst, blinding the soldiers. Kale launched forward, disarming the nearest man with a brutal kick to the knee. Jayara spun like liquid light, her arm forming into a blade of crystal, slashing through the second soldier's weapon. But Lyric was faster. He rolled, firing blind. A searing bolt of plasma grazed Kale's shoulder, spinning him to the ground. Kale! Jayara screamed aloud for the first time, her voice ringing like bells made of sorrow. Lyric stood, now shielded by his suit's adaptive visor. He aimed again, but Jayara surged forward, faster than human sight. She struck Lyric's chest, sending him skidding backward into one of the glowing pillars. The power within the core pulsed in rage. Lyric coughed, blood at the corner of his mouth. You're both fools. You've just declared war on the Empire. Kale staggered up, pain ignored. Then let them come. This world isn't defenseless anymore. Escape and oath. The Sereni core flared again, reacting to their unity. Holographic scripts spiraled into the air. Jayara's eyes widened as she read. They activated a beacon. Reinforcements will be here in hours. Kyle cursed. We can't fight a fleet alone. No, Jayara said, but we won't be alone. Pointed to a map projection, glowing in mid-air. The dormant Sereni fleet, thousands of vessels parked in the dark halo of Ithra's moon. If we reach the relay arch above the northern cliffs, I can reawaken them. Kale looked at her with quiet awe. You're not just surviving anymore. You're fighting back. I am learning from you. They moved quickly. Kale retrieved Lyric's weapon and encrypted communicator. Before leaving, he turned back to the captain, barely conscious now. You had your orders, so do I. Kyle raised the weapon, then threw it away. Difference is, mine come from conscience. The climb to the relay arch was brutal. They emerged from the tunnels as dawn cracked across the blood-red sky. The cliffs loomed before them, sharp as glass and 300 meters high. Jayara paused at the base. We must climb. No transport will get through the magnetic surge. Kale grinned despite his exhaustion. Figures. If this were easy, someone else would have done it already. He followed her lead. Hand over hand, meter by meter, they ascended. Wind howled. Dust storms whipped past. At one point, Kale slipped, his foot catching loose stone, but Jayara caught him by the wrist. I will not let you fall. He stared at her, suspended between sky and earth. Then I'll make you a promise, he said, panting. If we survive this, and somehow stop what's coming, I want to stay with you. Jayara blinked, glowing softly. You would give up your world. Kale smiled. I think I've found a better one. She didn't speak, but her grip tightened, and for a moment Kale swore he saw her glow blush. The relay arch at the summit stood the relay arch, two jagged towers humming faintly with dormant power. Its ancient Serene circuits needed an organic interface, one only Giara could provide. Kyle guarded the perimeter, Lyric's communicator, in hand. He activated it, sending a pulse signal, a decoy transmission, mimicking their deaths in a tunnel collapse. Buy us an hour. Maybe more. Behind him, Giara stepped into the arch, her body lit with radiant energy as the spires awakened. Ancient star maps erupted in the sky above them. Across the system, silent Serene ships stirred in orbit. But something else stirred. Too, a Hunter-class dropship descended through the clouds, dark, insect-like, bristling with plasma cannons. Kyle aimed upward. "We've got incoming!" Giara pushed her energy into the arch, voice strained. "I need time. Defend me!" Final stand on the summit. The dropship landed hard, sand spraying. Doors hissed open. Imperial shock troops poured out, 6 in all. Armored, elite. Kale raised his rifle and opened fire. The first soldier fell to a bolt between the eyes. The second returned fire, grazing Kale's thigh. He ducked behind a stone outcrop, panting. Just a little longer. 2 more flanked him. He disabled one with a shock grenade, then engaged the other hand-to-hand. Fists, blood, teeth gritted. He was outnumbered, outgunned, but not out of hope. A pulse of Serene light blazed across the summit. Giara's voice echoed, distorted but strong. "The fleet is waking!" Ships bloomed in the sky above like silver phoenixes. Kyle used the distraction, landed a blow that crushed his attacker's helmet. Only one soldier remained, aiming at Giara. Kyle screamed and dove between them. The plasma shot struck his chest. Pain exploded. Giara turned, just as Kale hit the ground. No. Love in the ashes. She ran to him, knees hitting the rock. Kale's eyes fluttered. "I kept my promise." She touched his face, her light now soft, trembling. "You saved my people. You saved me." Her tears turned to radiant drops of energy, flowing into his wound. "I will not lose you." He coughed weakly. "Then kiss me before I die, glowing girl." Giara leaned down and pressed her lips to his, and the arch responded. Energy exploded. From the towers. The remaining soldier was vaporized in a flash. In the sky above, Serene cruisers roared to life, their AI recognizing Giara as the new prime voice of resistance. The Empire's reinforcements were on their way. But now, so was the Serene fleet. Ash and fire, the sky tore open. Imperial dreadnoughts emerged from orbit, hulking behemoths with gravity-shearing weapons trained on Ithra's surface. Over the relay arch, Serene ships responded, rising like awakened gods from centuries of slumber. A fleet once thought extinct now flared to life with vengeful beauty. Giara stood at the heart of it, cradling Kyle in her arms, his body limp but breathing, barely. "Kale," she whispered, her voice tight, trembling. "Stay with me. The battle's not over." She pressed her glowing fingers to his wounds again, sending bioenergy coursing through him. His body seized, then stilled, his eyes fluttered open. "I hate getting shot." Giara laughed through tears. "You're impossible," he smirked. "Takes one to love one." Then the arch lit up with an urgent pulse. A Serene AI voice resonated. Around them, prime voice, Imperial fleet advancing. Orders. Giara stood, her hair and skin blazing like a white star. She turned to the sky, expression fierce and noble. "We defend this world. No quarter, no retreat." The AI responded. "Command accepted." The Serene fleet surged forward. The battle for Ithra. The opening volley lit the heavens. Serene energy beams carved through smaller Imperial frigates, their hulls shearing like paper. But the dreadnoughts returned fire, massive plasma arcs, hammering the planet's surface, shaking mountains and boiling rivers. Kyle staggered to his feet, still weak but alert. He gripped the rifle Giara had recovered for him. "I need to reach the uplink platform," he said. If I can use Laric's comm device, I might trigger the sabotage codes I installed years ago, take down their flagship's shields. Jaira touched his cheek. You won't survive another hit. He looked into her luminous eyes. I'll take the chance. This is our fight now. I'll come with you. He shook his head. No, you need to lead the fleet. You were born for this. Giara's heart twisted. And you were born to die for strangers? Kale smiled. No, I was born to change the ones who thought I was a monster. She cupped his face, leaned forward, and kissed him again. Not out of desperation this time, but promise. Come back to me, she whispered. I will. The sabotage gambit. Kyle climbed the burning hill to the uplink platform, a shattered tower wired with dying tech. Smoke choked the air. The battle raged above like a storm of gods. He found the terminal and slammed Laric's device into the port. The code was still valid. Imperial command code recognized. Execute vulture hook? Kyle grinned. Damn right. A pulse leapt from the dish into orbit. Seconds later, a ripple of light shimmered around the main Imperial dreadnought. As its shields failed, Jara saw it from the bridge of her flagship. Her pulse quickened. Kyle did it. She looked to the weapons officer, a reformed Sereni drone reawakened by her will. Target their engines, all batteries, now. Sereni lances struck true. The dreadnought erupted in a cascade of white fire, spiraling out of orbit and crashing into the nearby moon with a silent, glorious detonation. The Imperial fleet fractured. Their command gone, they scattered, retreating in chaos. The Sereni had won. Aftermath and awakening. The battlefield quieted. Smoke rose in gentle spirals from Ithra's wounded surface. The relay arch stood tall but cracked, its purpose fulfilled. Around the planet, Sereni ships began orbital stabilization and atmospheric cleanup. Jaira sprinted down the broken slope to the uplink tower. Kyle lay at the base of the terminal, unconscious, bloodied, but alive. His eyes opened slowly. We win, she laughed, falling beside him, pulling him close. Yes, my impossible human. We won. A new world weeks passed. The Sereni began reconstruction, not as isolated survivors, but as a reborn civilization. And at the center of it all were two figures. The glowing alien girl who once believed Kyle came to devour her, and the scarred human soldier who had once been told to kill her. Jaira stood in the High Council Hall, addressing thousands of Sereni minds, linked through a peaceful neural resonance. Today, we mark the rebirth of Ithra not as a planet, of fear but of unity. Our future lies not in vengeance but connection. Kale watched from the side, leaning on a cane, grinning with pride. After the speech, she joined him, the crowd cheering. He teased, "Well, you've gone full politician. Should I be scared?" She smiled. "Only if you're thinking of running." "Against me?" He pulled her into his arms. "Nah, I'll just be the war hero who married the queen." Jaira blinked, her light shimmering. "Are you proposing?" He stepped back, then knelt. "I nearly died saving your world. Least you could do is say yes." Jaira laughed and kissed him. Yes. The last light. The first kiss. The stars above Ithra shone bright again. Once symbols of loss, they now reflected hope. Two species, once enemies, had found a shared future, and at its heart were a human and a Sereni, who defied fate, rewrote war, and fell deeply, hopelessly in love. If you enjoyed this blend of science fiction, romance, and human resilience, share this story with others who believe love can cross any distance, even the stars. And remember, sometimes the most alien thing in the universe is kindness.